What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roost. So I'm going to review one of the debut projects by Petey Plastic. Basically, this project is called Leet Speak, and it supposedly came out in the winter of 2013. Now, on the Petey Plastic wiki, there is like a low-key PD Plastic wiki, I'd have to say in particular, and it says that this particular project came out actually in 2012, but on Spotify it says that this project came out in February 2013. So I'm not really sure as to like the full-blown details. This is kind of an older product nowadays. I'd have to say it's a good concept kind of get this particular product, but I just think the details about it are kind of minimum. I just would have to say. This is kind of the concept. So it came out approximately somewhere between 2012, early 2013, as far as that pitch can went. But it's just kind of the concept about it. This might just be PD Plastic's debut project here. I do want to say I know that his Don't Do Drugs mixtape or album. I do want to say that Petey Plastic had a Don't Do Drugs album that came out in the summer of 2013. Then he had another EP that came out in the winter of 2014 and the spring of 2014, which was called Monstrous or something like that. I forget what it's called, Monster or Monstrous, something that relative pitch. I reviewed both those in 2023. Wanted to get to some more Petey Plastic here just to be able to talk about some of these concepts, but there's actually not a ton of Petey Plastic projects really. There's actually not a ton of Petey Plastic projects really left to really do as far as that particular pitch kind of goes along with it. I have to say there's really only one other one from 2013 or around that approximate time, which is just like the New York City scheme or something like that. It's a pretty good pitch. So I'm gonna have to review that one at some point and get to that. And then there's like a recent project that Petey Plastic put out in 2022 called Problematic that I want to get to. I'm gonna save that one for later as far as the pitching goes. So basically after this one, I'm going to review the New York City scheme. We'll have to see about that one. But basically, about this particular stuff here is just the fact that this is a pretty brief project. This would I'd say 6 songs, basically a snappy EP as far as the pitching goes. Now, in the past, I've given a number of PD Plastic projects like 10s out of 10. I'd have to say in particular, but this is some excellent type stuff to get here because this is maybe not going to get a classic score, but definitely some good stuff to kind of have for like a good highlight. It's just the fact that when you don't enjoy every single song, it just kind of natches the score a bit. But there's really only one song out of the 6 that I don't full blown enjoy, and then there's one song that's an almost song. So we'll just go ahead. I'm not really sure about the promotion about this particular product, I'd have to say. So really, to talk about the 6 songs on here, really the only true song I didn't recommend in some fashion is just the We Are Stars 2013 remix. And then the almost song would be I Don't Wait on Lines That Blow Them as far as that particular pitch kind of goes along with it. So I just would have to say basically the reason why We Are Stars 2013 remix is not a song I recommend is just because the concept. I didn't really appreciate the rock rap, didn't really appreciate like the pop rock tone of this particular one. Just kind of had like a guitar riff on here that just wasn't that catchy or interesting. It's just kind of a more Broadway type one, not necessarily Broadway, but just kind of runway type song just in particular just kind of had some of that appeal, but this didn't really pull it off quite as well as it needed to. I'd have to say I'd seen better pitches as far as that particular kind of goes. Just makes me wonder if Jeffree Star could have pulled off that particular pitch or someone like that, or Adam Lambert, some of those type folks that I have to say. Not necessarily like a horror song, but just kind of constant. I just feel like the energy was just not quite revving enough, and especially for Petey Plastic, normally his energy is pretty spot on, and just pitches like that, he usually does spectacular with some of these type pitches and getting some of these glitzy type songs, but this was just one that just didn't feel quite as avid as far as that particular pitch kind of went. And then I Don't Wait on Lines That Blow Them is an almost song just because of the pitch behind it. I mean, it's a decent little bop here. I'd have to say I just question the concept about it. Like I would have to say this is a song that's like a basic kind of midday primer for turn up. I would have to say in particular, it's like a lively and jovial type song, but I'd have to say it's just not as gnarled. I'd have to say in particular, but it is a pretty good concept, and this is just good for like some late work shift. I'd have to say in particular. So it's a dope enough concept kind of get this one, but it's just kind of the thing. This is just kind of an in-between type one, I'd have to suppose. Is the concept about it. Main concept about it is this is just kind of an after work shift type tone as far as that particular kind of goes. Just the last maybe 20 or 45 minutes of work, some pitches like that, just getting ready to step out. Just a basic kind of breezy midday type bop here to kind of get primer for just stuff like that. Really has a jovial type feel. I appreciate the concept behind it, but I just feel like it's one of the lesser crazy songs in this particular project. Definitely one that's not demon time, I would have to say. It's just kind of the concept of that for the most part. Most of this album's in like the after hours. You can tell by like the album cover that this is like for pitch of like 1:30, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning, pitches like that, just the after hours type fare. But this is one that kind of feels like something that's more of like 3:45, 4:45 pitches like that. Just the last little bit of wrap up before getting ready to step out and have some crazy type times that I'd say in particular. But I just look after it. It works for what it is. I just question the concept of how often I would really listen to this. I definitely feel like it's a good song. It's just kind of the concept of just it's just kind of an in-between type song, and this is the question era, just in between. If you're looking for songs that are just, if you're looking for songs that are revved up but not quite as full-blown crazy, I'd say this is a good, nice one to kind of get here. But it's just kind of the concept that I just feel like the energy has the commercial appeal about it, but It's kind of more on the fence about it, but it is an excellent song. It's just kind of the concept, just more on the fence about it. I'd say that's kind of the concept. It's basically, so me basically recommending 4.5 songs out of 6 is a pretty good pitch. So we'll go ahead and talk about the songs I recommend on here. Basically, all these other songs are pretty highlighted type pitches, just real crazy type energy, just Petey Plastic in his prime doing stuff that he does well, like he always does. This would have to say in particular, just some excellent type stuff. Just like Don't Do Drugs and Monstrous, some of those type pitches, just some more type stuff. Like FB, Fuck Buddy's a real nice one. It's like a glitzy kind of trance pop online jive of a song, I'd have to say in particular. There's definitely some residential after hours kickback. I would have to say it's a kickback gem. I would definitely feel like, and this is just good for some midnight snackage, I would have to say. It's a real good highlight type one to kind of get here, just in particular, as far as that particular kind of goes. It's really some trance pop that works pretty damn well. It's this typical kind of fanfare for this sort of pitch. If you like Jeffree Star, if you like Blood on the Dance Floor, if you like Adam Lambert, some folks like that, I'd have to say in particular, this is just some more excellent type stuff just for electronic type flair. Pitches like that, just with an online type pitch, as far as that particular kind of goes. If you're looking for online, if you're looking to pick up some ladies online, some pitches like that, this is a good after hour snap to kind of have about that in particular. It's just a pretty jivey type one. It's not as relaxed as like it may seem, just in particular, just for after hours kickbacks. Just a good concept kind of have, but this is definitely some good snackage type tune just for 3 o'clock in the morning. Pitches like that, Adult Swim pitches, some of that type PlayStation type music, and just overall smokage and just after hours fun as far as that particular pitch kind of goes along with this. So that's a nice one. DTF is another nice one. That's a pretty highlighted one. I have to say this is a cranked up kind of raw electronic club highlight. I have to say in particular, this one's a little bit more gnarled compared to Fuck Buddy, which is surprising because that's a pretty gnarled type one. But this is just a real highlight type pitch to kind of get. It's like some early 2010s EDM sheen this song particularly kind of has. This is just a radio ready bopper, I'd have to say about it in particular. So this one definitely reminds me, ETF definitely reminds me of the sort of stuff that like Cobra Starship and folks like that were kind of doing in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, as far as that particular kind of goes. Just some good concepts. I would have to say, like, besides Cobra Starship, I'm trying to think of some other ones that kind of did that particular sound, like Kesha, people like that, 303, some of those type folks, a little bit of LMFAO in there, some of those type pitches, just some of those relative early 2010s type EDM type sounds, this electronica type stuff that works in particular. A little bit of Jeffree Star, even, I'd have to say. Pitches like that, Traces Lady Gaga, some of those type pitches in particular, as far as that particular kind of goes. There's some excellent type stuff to kind of get here, but this is a pretty gnarled type one. This is probably one of the more raw songs on this particular. This is definitely one of the more raw type ones on this particular brief EP, I'd have to say in particular. So it's a pretty good pitch. Definitely one of the best songs on the tape, but then that's one of the best songs on the project. But it's just that's easily saying that because this is a pretty good project overall, I'd have to say. IDC is the next one. This is I Don't Care. The previous one was Down to Fuck, but this one's IDC. So it's just more Leet speak as far as that particular thing goes. The computer talk, just being able to say, but this is like a pounding kind of after hours social outing craze with song I'd have to say in particular. This is a great song for some litty moments. I would definitely feel like, and this song has some good high casual. This song has some high casual appeal about it, I'd say. So this one's a little bit more club oriented. This is kind of one that's not quite as computer bound and pitches like that, more residential after hours type fare, just kicking it at the crib pitches like that. I'd say it's definitely one that could be at like a nightclub, some of those type atmospheres, good loud venues, places like that. Just some places where you're just going to hear screeching music, some of those type pitches just kind of get in particular. I'd have to say there's some good concepts. Just a real highlighted type club song I'd have to say in particular. This works pretty well despite the fact of how low key Petey Plastic is. I still would have to say this is a ripper in terms of like the concept of what really gets the heavy play as to what gets to some of this heaviness on this particular project. So it's just an easy kind of highlight and it works extremely well. I'd have to suppose this some excellent type stuff. Fuck Buddy, DTF, and IDC are all some great ones to kind of get here. So it's just some excellent stuff here. Addicted to the Fame is another highlighted one. This is just another good hit. This is actually a remix. I don't know where the original song was from, considering that this felt like it was his debut project, but I'd say it's just a dope enough concept to kind of get this one. It's like a dark kind of electronic dance bounce of a song, I'd have to say. This is like a stock highlight for an extreme night of fun, I would definitely have to suppose in particular. And this song is just red hot, I'd have to say. So this is definitely one of the best beats on this particular project that has to suppose, but then that's really not saying too much just because not in terms of like the quality of it, but just being able to say that most of this project is pretty excellently produced, I'd have to say, including the almost song I Don't Wait Online. So it's kind of that one's just a more vanilla type one that just is more basic, kind of just got done with worship type pitch. But all 4 of these songs I recommend, Fuck Buddy, DTF, IDC, and Addicted to the Fame, are all some pretty gnarled type highlights just that really push the limits of like electronica type music and just do it extremely well just within that pitch as far as that kind of goes. Just some excellent type stuff to kind of get here. Just works extremely well. Just like I was saying, just some good highlight type stuff. The pitch, I mean, even if the lyrics are not quite as full-blown spellbounding, I'd have to say in particular, it's just the concept that a lot of this just has some good pitches and just overall energy and just affable type appeal. It's like some casual type stuff. If you like Blood on the Dance Floor, if you like Jeffree Star, If you like the Millionaires pitches like that, some of those type folks, some of those type pitches, a little bit of this lesser lyrical bound type electronica and pitches like that. It's more low key type stuff. Bands and artists that are going to sell like 2,500 or 5,500 copies first week of their CD sales and pitches like that. Some of those type folks, it just would be a good concept kind of pick this project up and see what's up with it, because it's definitely some excellent type stuff here, I'd have to say. Real good electronic type stuff. Very low key, very pedestrian, just in terms of the format and how residential bound it kind of is. There's some residential bops in here, but a lot of this could be nightclub bound, just within a more hole in the wall type sense. It's more relative sense. It's more this kind of lackadaisical, this kind of not as much high key type stuff. I feel like this is a lot more low key, just in like a more kind of hole in the wall. And this pitch is like that. It's real down low pedestrian type feel, but I do like the concept of it. Just some good stuff. If you miss like things like Jeffree Star and Millionaires, some of those type of folks, this works extremely well, I'd have to say. But that's the concept of this particular EP, I'd have to say. So me basically recommending 4.5 songs out of 6 on this particular product. On this particular product, I'm gonna go ahead and give this project like an 8.25 out of 10. It's kind of a good pitch enough to get about it in particular. I'd have to say if I would have liked one more song, I probably would have gotten like a 9.5 just within the pitch. I mean, 5.5 out of 6 probably would have been pretty damn close to getting a 10 out of 10. I would have had to have said, but it's just kind of the concept that just didn't appreciate We Are Stars as much. Just in particular, it's the only real true one. And I do like I Don't Wait on Lines a little bit, just for the most part. It's just kind of more here and there type one, just the ofteness, how much I'd listen to it. It's not a bad song, it's just kind of the concept of me just questioning when I were to hear it in a shuffle, or just pitches of the randomness of listening to it, how often that this song would be a choice one that I'd come back to. I do feel like songs like DTF, IDC, Addicted to the Fame, Fuck Buddy, some of those type ones a little bit more Apple type highlights just for that relative pitch, but it's just kind of, it's definitely a good makeshift type song. I feel like I Don't Wait on Lines, I just would have to say in particular, it's an excellent type stuff to kind of get here, more midday primer just within that relative pitch, but that's just kind of the concept. So 8.25 score. The social score though is going to get a 10 out of 10. It's just Petey Plastic and classic kind of typical. This Petey Plastic and classic kind of typical fashion just has the casual appeal just off the meter as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it. Just some excellent kind of social highlights and pitches like that. Just really gushes just with appeal as far as that particular kind of goes. Just some excellent type stuff to kind of get for some of those Liddy type moments, and just overall social residential type fare after hours talk, even some online types talk for Leet speak and pitches like that for online women, pitches some of those type fares as far as that particular kind of goes along with it. I just would have to say excellent type stuff to kind of get here just within that context. It's some excellent, real good appeal in this overall electricity, I'd have to say. There's some real good appeal and overall electricity, I'd have to say. So it's a good enough concept. But in terms of the future, like the thing about PD Plastic is he does have a YouTube. It has like 6,000, 6,500 subscribers, something like that, I'd have to say in particular. Good enough pitch to kind of get to some of that, I'd have to suppose. It's this kind of the concept that he doesn't oftenly drop projects anymore. I feel like 2013, 2014 were more of his bigger years, I'd have to say. He did at least drop a project in 2022, and he does put out singles and update his YouTube with the occasional video, and he does more vlogs nowadays, but he does do like some of the occasional songs and pitches like that, but it's just kind of unknown as to whether or not he's going to continue to put out more projects. I think he probably will in some sense. It's just within that relative pitch, but it's just kind of the concept that it's just kind of more random and just kind of offhanded as to when these projects are going to come out and stuff. But he definitely has a few more projects I'm going to get to. I am going to review the New York City scheme, and then of course the 2022 project Problematic. So we'll get to some more of these as time goes along. But this is a good project here. The problem with it is it's just too bad that PD Plastic doesn't drop his albums on CD as far as that kind of goes. He's just a lot more low key for that relative pitch. But what I'd say this is a pretty good overall project. Just definitely well above average. 8.25 score, 10 social, I'd have to say. So I would check this out and fuck with it. Get a few of these songs and scoop them up, because there is some pretty electric type stuff on here.